welcome again to Sovereign Vibrations.
Welcome again. We're happy to be here for our third. This is our third
It's
episode,
our
isn't it?
third episode, yeah.
Good. And we'll officially be launching the 3 episodes together, I think, really. The
Pretty
first 3
much,
episodes,
yeah.
aren't we?
Well, one's already, but for podcast version, yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be good for people that want to follow where we are. But today, I mean, again, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Kiran.
I'm
And
Nikki.
so we're glad to be here again. And today we want to talk a little bit more now and about what's going on. We'll have some more themes now, I think, with our podcast. So we'll be a bit more specific about what we talk about. And from now on, we'll introduce either our live meditations, or we'll have someone coming, joining us as a guest, or we'll have some referrals as well. So yes, today we really want to talk about some specific goings on in the world, and we will introduce a nice live meditation so we can just connect to who we really are as spiritual beings and higher consciousness. And even though we're very much aware of our outside world and what is happening in this 3D dimension, and we may have our viewpoints about it, our perceptions about it, individual perceptions or perceptions that are being fed to us, we just need to remember who we are subconsciously and consciously and higher consciously. And once we connect to that source, we then work from a truth vibration, and more of a love vibration, as opposed to a fear vibration, and with what's going on in this world. So we'll just do a short meditation at the end.
Yes, very cool.
So I'm I really am interested in, because I've only spoken to Nikki briefly over the week, but I really did, and obviously we've heard what we heard in the UK, what was happening with the weather out in Texas, but I really want to hear your thoughts on everything, Nick.
Yeah, so I'm in Dallas, Texas, and we had, I guess, about a week of just unprecedented cold weather for us, especially this late in the season. Um, I think 4 million or maybe more Texans lost power, and it was below freezing, which it doesn't do that for us. And especially in cities like Houston, that's just unprecedented. Like, I don't know if it's ever happened like that long in Houston. And so when they do construction, they put pipes in like the ceilings a lot because we don't ever have freezing weather. So it's, I guess maybe it's more cheaper, or, well, whatever it did, they then intentionally did these rolling blackouts, which they didn't have the capacity to really do. So they just turned off so many people's grids and then couldn't turn them back on for whatever reason. So these people were out, and then all their pipes froze. And we have so much damage right now. So many people I have 2 or 3 cousins that are 2 in Houston, one is that have just their house destroyed, and like get in line for a plumber because they don't even have enough PVC pipe to go around. They don't even have enough stuff to fix these things. So we're still going to be in quite a mess for a while. So that was kind of interesting. And then, there's the question of whether or not the whole thing just seems super orchestrated in terms of why did they need to turn the power off to begin with? I mean,
That would be my question. Why did they do that?
I mean, there's tells of, we knew this was coming 10 days in advance. We asked the federal government to, we produce the energy in Texas, and we have our own separate grid that is not connected to there's the eastern grid and the western grid of the United States, and Texas is its own grid. So we have a lot of, I don't know, that's the thing, you read about it, we have a lot of solar energy and wind, or a lot of wind energy, particularly those wind turbines. At least 10% of our state is run on like green energies, but then those fell during this particular weather. So I don't know, but we couldn't even use the energy that we produced because we were selling it off like to different countries and different parts of the country. And we weren't even given permission to use our own energy for our own thing. So it was really bizarre. The whole thing was bizarre. And they premeditated turning off the power on the coldest day of the year for us.
Yeah, exactly. And if that wasn't foreseeable, then that was coming. Was the weather predicted.
we don't ever turn off power ever. Like that's not, unless we have tornadoes, unless like something like that gets taken out deliberate. And that's
Mm,
my thing. I was like, well, if we ran out, if there was power outages or shortages naturally because it was overrun in a particular place, then let that be the case. Like don't
mm.
turn it off for 4 million people. That's insane.
Yeah, and obviously whoever's now in charge of the grid, it's not it doesn't seem to be in the hands of the local unit really. I think it's even outside of the country, isn't it? That we're
Yeah,
seeing.
yeah, exactly. And then we just got water pressure back like yesterday, because there were so many people with broken pipes everywhere that the pressure in the whole cities was really low. So
Mm,
it has been crazy. My brothers both lost power. They've been staying over here. I mean, but whatever. I mean, I never lost power. It was fine. But
thankfully.
it was definitely one of those things where even things like, oh, the water treatment plant, the water isn't good, you have to boil your water or boil the snow. They kept on telling us to drink the snow, like boil the snow, which the snow was gross. And they wanted us to do that because there was no other access, because they said that the water treatment plants were down because their turbines inside their filtration systems froze. Like that's a story that we were given. I don't know, the whole thing all the way down was just
Oh
kind of
yeah, it just doesn't seem legit in in the country that you're in, and Texas is quite a place where things are kept in control a little bit more. It's quite a big state, and in good control, I would say. So it's like something's come in to interfere with that, to put the Texas people out of place. Really, I don't know whether how far they're going to go with this, but it just seems like it just doesn't, it just seems like they want to cause trouble in that area. So possibly there was a lot of self-sufficiency in that
Yeah,
area.
but which is really weird, because the thing is like all you're gonna do is make us more self-sufficient. Like all my relatives are like buying like $8,000 generators now they don't ever need to be on the grid again if it comes off. Like they're we're cowboys out here. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't do what we're you know
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about getting a generator because you just never know when this is going to happen all over the world.
anywhere. Yeah.
It
Yeah,
could.
you really are so dependent on our power system. So that is something to, when it's taken away from you like that for that long, it's kind of makes you start thinking.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And obviously, like I said, if you do look politically, it's not really, the power grids are not really in the hands of America anymore, which is, you know,
Very bizarre.
that is bizarre. And I've got to say that's dodgy because who is throwing the daggers, number one, at Texas right now, and then what's
Which
coming next?
is a conservative state, which yeah, that
Yeah,
kids
yeah, for sure. So let's see how that one pans out. It's very much related to obviously the climate change. Um, I would say climate change agenda, if I
yeah.
can say that. So or the climate change narrative, should we say that? But yeah, so obviously the push to go into more solar panels and turbines. But then when you look at this situation, can they handle that? If this happened actually, if it was a natural phenomenon,
No.
could they handle that? No.
No, and I just watched this documentary this week during all this called Planet of Humans, and it's done by Michael Moore.
Yeah.
And it actually kind of shows you how some of these green energies are actually more energy, like they're counterproductive. They don't actually they use more
Mm,
resources than some of the just burning coal or just burning the oil. It's really it was really depressing documentary to watch, because it'll take off away your poof of, oh, they're actually not doing something good, they're trying to pad their pockets, which is interesting.
yeah.
So yeah, I recommend that documentary to people. Actually, it's just kind of eye-opening. The only thing is though, there is always this like depopulation agenda with all that kind of stuff, you know, because it's kind of it's in conclusion is basically there's just too many people on the planet,
Mm,
which I may or may not agree with. I don't know, but I definitely don't. I don't think that that justifies maybe creating viruses in labs and whatever other way people are thinking of controlling that.
mm. Or fear mongering.
Or yeah, exactly.
Fear mongering. But yeah, as regards to what you were saying with the climate, and obviously the whole story about CO2 gases and emissions, and then the energy waste, and I've heard how much energy will be put into making these electrical cars that will be going out, and so it kind of just hypocritical really for the people that's saying that we should take the cars off the road. Here's £3,000, take your cars off the road and never travel and never drive a car again, just pushing us all into either electric cars or walk, public
Right.
transport, etc. So but then obviously the whole CO2 thing, you know many scientists have said there's not enough CO2 in the world to have to feed our plant life and etc., which is our food for life. So if that's the case, then where is all this climate, you know,
Well,
catastrophe
I mean,
coming?
something I was in geology. I was a geology major for like 3 years before I became an art historian, and we learned about like when an average size volcano erupts, it produces in the atmosphere more CFCs or carbon fluid. What I can't remember more CFCs than all the world's cars in 2 years, and we have volcanic eruptions all the time. Like what we also have to realize is that yes, I think really where I think humans make a really bad impact is on the ecosystem and the animal life and the way we've do our plastic consumption and the way we just overfish, overhunt, completely encroach on other beings territories. I think we're very parasitic in that realm. And there is a definite, like, you can see in certain cities when you're going to it, you can see the smog, you can see how filthy we're making the air, yes. But I also think that the earth has got a natural filtration system, like when it rains, when it's, I mean, it can clean itself up a little bit to that extent, and it
Mm,
does produce its own CFCs within the atmosphere. So I don't know, but we also act like we're on this fixed planet. We act like there's these 4 seasons and they are what they are and that's how it is and that's that, and that's just not the case. First of all, long wave form, it's not the case. If you look at like we have ice ages and we have water worlds, we have dinosaurs were living in a completely different atmosphere and environment than we were living in. You
mm,
have but even in the 1800s we had like the Carrington event, was a giant solar storm that happened in the 1860s that made it rain all over the world for a year. That just was in the 1800s. I mean, we've had some pretty like the planet ebbs and flows. It is not just a stable line that we are kind of taught to think about it as. It is an ever changing being.
mm. And and so obviously it's a natural phenomenon. Climate change is a natural phenomenon, and it's been so pushed down in our throats that it's a human constructed thing. And this is the problem. This is really the problem. So we have to do something about it. And now I'm hearing, that so many people are saying, let's get rid of the cows. That's horrific. I can't imagine. Um, but this is, we've got Mr. Gates released his new book about climate change, and again he's pushing the fact that now everybody should be taking on synthetic meat. How do people feel about eating synthetic meat? No longer I mean, I'm a vegan, and obviously I have my own reasons for being a vegan, and it's more compassion and ethics for me. And I know some people feel they nutritionally benefit from eating meats, and I'm not going to judge anyone for that way, but how do they feel with Mr. Gates now saying and leading this almost as climate change, that now people, especially middle class and rich people, should be eating synthetic meat, fake meat? where does that where does that fit in people's
Yeah.
well-being and health? And obviously nutritionally people are going to really be deprived here. Is I can't see synthetic meat matching. um
I don't know. I am not a meat eater either, but I don't think even if I were, I would be down for synthetic meat. But
mm,
I mean, I think that they'll introduce it and then they won't know it, like it'll just be every fast food restaurant will be made of synthetic meat, which if it's not already, I don't know. It's
true, that's
already.
very true. Actually, how would we know? How would we know
Yeah.
this fast food
But we are
thing?
so disconnected from our food source in general that it doesn't surprise me like what we would be eating or wouldn't be eating. Did you ever see that movie Cloud Atlas or
Yes,
Atlas
but it's
Cloud
a
or
long time ago, wasn't it?
yeah, it
I
was a really long time. I just remember at the
yeah.
end, it's like they almost produced, it seemed like they produced like these clone humans to eat like that because they'd killed all the other animals, they killed everything else in the world, so they would clone humans as a food source. I remember thinking like, oh, but it, yeah, I don't know, the way we're going now, who knows.
I know, because I did hear a lot more about cloning as well now on the mainstream media and news. So I think it's going to become quite normal. People talking about cloning animals or cloning people. It's going to become the norm for sure. And everything seems to be passing this barrier of normality now. What people didn't accept once upon a time, ever since COVID has come on the scene, so much more
Yeah.
is now considered normal and acceptable, isn't it? That we wouldn't even look twice at if someone had recommended that or introduced that into our life before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I just saw something about how Dolly would have turned 30, or like that was 30 years ago today, or like um you know, the sheep that they cloned in Scotland. And then
yeah,
they just cloned another ferret and stuff. The problem was that, you know, well, that's the thing, they're always like acting like they stopped these programs or that they weren't ongoing. We all know that they've probably been doing this
we all know. So
yeah.
probably every other celebrity we see on the films
Right.
is somewhat probably cloned or synthetic. But let's leave that one. We won't go too far into it. But obviously, I think anyone that has an open mind and can think critically will be able to say, okay, we know they're not going to suddenly just stop their research here, and they're going to continue that, and they're going to go past the sheep. They're going to obviously.
Yeah. I looked up, there was some people, especially like in Russia and the 1800, or as early as like the late 1800s, that started trying to um breed humans and apes, or humans and chimpanzees. And there's rumors of at least 3 successful cases of like these beings that were half human, half chimpanzees, and like a couple of them were in some circuses
Mm,
that they were kind of like gawked at and stuff.
mm,
And I I know that people will play with, I mean, they play with splicing different kinds of animals together, and they're gonna play with splicing human and animal DNA for sure. I
um,
Yeah. So like that's, which is interesting because I that's kind of how I saw in my dream, is like there's a part of society that goes down DNA manipulation. Like they go
yeah.
down the route of like playing God with their with our internal instrumentation. And that's going to be weird. I don't think that that's something that you'll see at its fullest like in our lifetime. Like I think that will be
Mm.
way in the future,
Funny,
but yeah.
I don't know whether it was a dream or something. I can't remember. I'm speaking to someone, and that came back to me, the dream that you sent me on your when you had that audio of it.
Oh yeah.
And I remembered what you said, because now more and more evidence is showing, even with the, and obviously I watched a film the other day as well that kind of had it. What was it called? It was one of the Amazon films. Oh, it will come to me. God, it's gone out of my head now. got Salma Hayek in it, and
Oh, Bliss or something,
that's
or
it. Yeah, something like
I
that.
didn't
But
watch that, but I heard that.
it's
Yeah,
very much about, obviously the synthetic biology that is now happening with the mRNA
manipulation.
medical treatment going on there, and the modification of the RNA, DNA, and obviously that's what happens. It's synthetic biology in the end. But I'm saying in the end, I honestly believe, and I think a lot of scientists and journalists believe, that it's already happened, and it's happened for many, many years, that we've had a synthetic biology interference, but modification in human DNA and RNA. So, but it's coming more and more into my life. So, and I just remembered your dream, and the fact that this is the start of it. That the manipulation is a start, and our future is going to be that synthetic biology.
Should I try to put that dream in here? Should I just put the audio?
Yeah. And
Yeah, okay.
our viewers and listeners want to hear it, and that would be fantastic, because then it combines with what sorry, it connects with what even Mr. Gates has put in his book about, the synthetic meat and everything synthetic, and that's what it is now, and starts from that I don't even, it's the medical procedure that's going on in those.
Yes, the medicine.
Yes, medicine, and this is where it starts. This is where it all starts, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's why I don't know, I think where I am gonna find the happy balance is gonna have to be integration of when you decide you don't want to take the medicine, and we have to have almost like maybe different economies or something that's developed naturally out of that. How do we get along and integrate and be okay, like
Yeah.
for instance, like I had my friend Danielle was like, well, what if the people who take the medicine donate a bunch of blood and you have to have a blood transfusion? Like, does that? Yeah,
Exactly. How does that work? This is all it's all that interconnection, isn't it? How do you get away from it? What if you ended
yeah,
up in hospital and it was a matter of life and death, and you did need the blood, and the blood came from from that particular,
right, right.
what could you do about it at the time?
And then I also kind of feel like, well, what about uh is there a way to counter, like if it's ever forced on you, is there a way to counter something, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I think that's very important as well. It's what you said last week, isn't it, about belief system, and we were talking about Anita as
uh-huh.
well, the death afterlife. It is very much about your belief system as well, and if you're in the vibration of fear at the time, or if you're on the vibration of truth, and you know the truth, and you know that you're not just your body and your experience. This is not just you're connected already to your higher consciousness, and you know that your truth and love, and you're connected from your heart, and you're a completely different energy field. Then it's different. Then I think that physically, the things that I feel physically, the things that would happen in this life would be different. It would be a different experience for that individual. The same rules wouldn't apply. I don't feel the same rules do apply to all individuals because of their belief system. The same rules as of life, I would say, the same rules of our
what
um
what do you think about have you heard of that boron? Like, it's supposed to kill those tiny little robots.
it rings a bell. I think I was just reading about it today, but I did get into too much of it. What?
Okay, I'll send you what I know about it. Like like I've heard it like decalcifies your pineal gland, and it's supposed to, I don't know, it's supposed to be very good against parasites and stuff. So, but then my brother's like, yeah, well, you know what kills army ants? Nothing, unless you put borax on top of their fire pit, and then that kills them. So don't take it. That's like super poisonous. But then you have a bunch of alternative health people saying, so this is not medical advice at all, like do your complete own research on that. But you have a lot of alternative health people saying that it's really good to fight against well, all of that stuff, and it's a really good metal detox in your body, and it kills anything that's like a foreign magnetic or metal that's in your body that doesn't need to be there.
Oh, we'll have to do the research. We'll have to put some links on
Yeah.
in the research about that as well. But yeah, I think I was reading about it in one of the articles after our announcement was released from our Prime Minister a couple of days ago, and on the feed there was some people talking about how our pineal glands have been clouded, and we can't, and the third eye has been disconnected from our current experience through certain things. And I think one of those things somebody had mentioned was what you just said, but I'm gonna have to go back on that feed and see
Yeah,
now.
apparently it's just it's naturally occurring like salt, but it used to be more in the soil than it is now, and so it's not. So our soil in general, where most of our food is grown, which I never realized was important to the actual food growth itself. I mean, I mean, okay, I guess I knew it was important to the food growth, but I didn't know that you got trace minerals within the food. So that's why we have our diets are really poor now, just because we have monoculture, like all of our crops are one thing, so there's no variety, and it depletes soil of whatever that one crop takes up. And so you don't have any sort of, traditionally farming was, there was all kinds of vegetables growing together, or there was, like this kind of thing, not like these ginormous hectaacres of one crop.
Yeah.
Well, that ends up creating, it may be convenient for production, but it ends up creating a lot of nutrition deficiencies. And that's because of, over time, it depletes the soil of whatever it was going to do with that. So the soil actually gets more and more of the vitamins or whatever you need, minerals and vitamins within the actual fruit or vegetable itself. And so, yeah, so anyway, that's one of the things. Boron is apparently one of the things that we're very, very low on as a society for
Oh,
whatever reason.
I have to investigate that actually.
Yeah, that's what
The
they say.
farming, and the farming now has also been affected with the current climate issue, and the farmers all over the world are having to rise up against losing their livelihoods and their livestock and their land, aren't they?
Yeah,
You know, and
yeah,
again,
for sure. Well, the biggest crime to humanity, in my opinion, in regards to farming is the seeds that were intentionally genetically modified to only have one season. You
mm,
know, that, like, I think Monsanto is the main one in that, but I'm sure there might be other companies that do it as well. But you genetically modify seeds to only have one season so that people have to keep buying your seeds. That's that's not okay. That's just not okay in a lot of different ways.
yeah, that just goes in line with the drug companies out there never
Uh-huh.
wanting to actually heal the issue, the true form of the issue, but just the symptoms,
Right.
and then
Suppress the symptom.
yeah, you're constantly taking medication because you're just dealing with the symptoms and not the root of the issue, which holistic medicine obviously does deal with. And we can see over many years how the holistic medicine has been suppressed, but yet used by a lot of people in the know. But the general public, it's been taken away from, or it's given no credibility to.
Right.
So the general public don't think that it's something they can turn to get better, but yet they go for the pharmaceutical drugs, which again, like we say, is just making more money for those huge companies, but not actually ever dealing with the root of the problem. So yeah, so it all ties up, unfortunately. And like we were just going to briefly talk about a little bit about the so-called labeling of conspiracy theorists as well. Because I mean, obviously, anyone who comes up with an official narrative or a different perspective, whatever it may be, and on whatever subject, is labeled a conspiracy theorist. And even now, some of the things that have been said by so many intelligent people, scientists, doctors, journalists, and all over the world, you'll hear people saying, "Oh well, the conspiracy theorists were right." Damn, the conspiracy theorists were right. It's the same thing here. Okay, fair enough. It's a bit of a joke for them, but the fact is, they were never conspiracy theorists. they were actually talking facts, and the labels, or researched facts and informative information that's been taken out from alternative sources as opposed to the official source that the main public read, and then turn around and say, well, the conspiracy theorists were right now because now this and this has come up and this has come up. So yeah, we were just going to have a quick few minutes just to talk about the labels of the conspiracy theorists, and
Yeah.
do you not listen to these people, or do you listen to?
And then there's the whole they're really interested in calling it misinformation. I've heard that term be thrown around a lot. Like I've been attacked of uh do like look at the science. You're just full of misinformation. And what else is there? There's fact checkers that checked that.
Yeah. That's a funny one. Is there anybody checking the fact checkers? And where do they come from? Where do they get their facts? And how can they even fact check something and dismiss it when a lot of the time when you challenge the fact checkers, which I haven't challenged because luckily I was probably one or two posts that were ever fact checked, and then I just give up on it because I thought, wow, they're really checking my algorithms here, and it's not going to get me anywhere with the public at the time. So but I have heard from other people, they challenge them, and then all of a sudden they'll come back with the most ridiculous excuse why it was fact checked, because the person that said what this individual that posted it has supposed to have said, that person said it when he was on a video call, but not when he was on a press conference or something like that. So if there was one word in there that said so and so said so and so when he was in a committee meeting at blah blah blah, they will fact check that wrong, because they'll say, well, actually he was here, he wasn't there when he said it, but he still said it, but it doesn't matter, we're just going to fact check that he didn't say it because he wasn't right. He said it. So this is what I've been hearing from people. Their reasons for fact checking and getting something off social media feeds and posts is that ridiculous. It's not the fact that those things are lies, it's just they finding ways to do this so they can stop that so-called misinformation out there.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely have seen that like a big roundabout going on with Kerry Mullis, the guy who invented the PCR test, which is
if you get the date wrong, if you get the date wrong for that, just
exactly.
You'll be fact checked wrong. But there's videos going out everywhere. You can see the man physically saying what he's saying, verbally saying what he's saying, and that's not a lie. But it
the censorship right now it's insane. I was on Twitter yesterday and I had gotten off for a while, and then I got back on to promote my other podcast too, and it was like someone was saying something about the medicine, right? And then they went into censorship, and it was like, well, you have to defend like the First Amendment in the US, and I don't know what amendments are in the other countries in terms of, but we all sort of have, or I would presume a lot of countries have clauses about freedom of speech, but it's there to protect those that are not the mainstream. That's the point of it. It's I may not agree with what you say, but I defend I defend to the death your right to say it. That's like French Doltaire. I mean, like, this is just insane, what's like happening. And you'll have people who will say, as long as it's not misinformation. I saw that. They're like, well, yeah, I agree. Everybody should be allowed to say what they want to say as long as it's not misinformation. Like, what kind of brainwashing have they done to you? Like, that is really horrible. So you need to wake up. Like, if you don't agree with somebody and it makes your stomach go like, that's okay. That's okay. We don't have to live in a world where we agree with every single statement that we see all the way around. I mean, we can't.
Yeah. I mean, it really is now coming to the point where, because there is so much information out there and people are choosing the information that they believe is the misinformation, and what they're perceiving as to be real or true or fact. It really is time now where people step back within themselves and connect to higher energies within themselves. Because right now in this space, people are being bombarded with a narrative and just constant forms of information, um, everywhere. It's not just on their TV screens, but it's literally everywhere now. You know, you billboards and everything you're doing
Yeah.
is in the subliminal what kind of talk about the messages out there.
Subliminal messages.
That's it. um, and you know, code words, and I'm just seeing so many different things like that. Just there's no way out of it. Absolutely no way out of it now. The only way people can really connect to the truth is if they come within themselves and connect to their heart, and connect to the true vibration, because otherwise they're only going to be seeing this fear vibration now.
Right.
There really is no way out of it.
Yeah, and it's a layer put onto you. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter what it is, it's put onto you by society. And ultimately, you don't need that bridge of stuff between you and what else is like all out there. You
yeah,
need you need to connect in with yourself. And I think that so that should segue into like let's do a little meditation for them all for
yeah.
this.
So this is what we want to do for the end of our podcast today, is just really connecting everybody to who they truly are. And it's more actually that memory, like when the children are born, they are born with the memory of who they are and where they've come from, and they're fearless. Children are fearless. They have no perceptions fed to them, or they don't listen to them at that age anyway, of reasons to be afraid. And they don't even think about death, because it's just an illusion to them at that time. Well, they remember who they are, and they remember that they're entities that live forever, they're energies that live forever. They remember that they're part of the higher consciousness that is connected to all that is and everyone and everything. So they know that they're part of everyone and everything. So skin color and you know, language is not a barrier, because they actually communicate from inside. You know, the force, that force energy, they see things through a compassion and a connection. That's how they speak, through compassion and connection. And it's how I also do my Reiki. When I do my Reiki work, I connect more from a spiritual perspective, and symbolically, as opposed to someone as actually speaking to me and verbally speaking. And kids remember all of that. So when you look at a child, you can really see how you're supposed to be at this age. And there's a massive difference, because at this age we're talking, we're communicating, we're verbally expressing how we what we think and how we feel. And a lot of it's from a perception that we've been brought up so many years now, by and talked and spoke to from our peers, family, friends, school, what we listened and watched um, on TV, radio, or whatever. It's just changed and conditioned us, and this is now what we've become and what we believe. And this is the key for someone who is trying to create or control a humanity as such, or a group of people. If a person doesn't remember who, or that spirit doesn't remember who it is and where it's come from, and it just thinks it's a person and an individual and its experiences, all it can say, you know, I am the job that I do, and I am, you know, something I've done in the past, and I will be something I want to be in the future. That's how they relate. They don't, I mean, even if you relate to your name, I mean, what does your name represent? You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to really connect to that consciousness to realize that you are capable of manifesting and living anything you want in life. And this is the thing, when you wake up in the morning, this should be the energy field that you wake up with, and you speak to yourself in the mirror with after you brush your teeth, and you know, say that I am all that is and everything that ever was. You know, I am God consciousness. I am, you know, that the higher energies. I am all. You know, I'm trust and I'm love. And this is what people don't connect with. They don't connect with that energy. We have
Right.
a lot of people doing affirmations and gratitude work, which is great, because it creates a high lifted feeling in the body. And but again, it's a lot to do with what they want to manifest in life. And again, that's good, because you know that you can manifest when you keep repeating something and you keep feeling something from inside. You can manifest it. You know, that's where the secret comes from as well, where you manifest the energy field that you are. But now is the time, I feel very, very important with what's going on in this world, that people need to remember the bigger picture now. They really need to remember the
Yes.
force that they are, and the force that they will always be, and they can connect to through their heart. And that will give them a fearless stance in life. They won't be worried about if someone said you're going to lose your yearly holidays unless you take the medical procedure, or if you're going to lose your capability of going to the pub or going to the concerts unless you take a test and you don't want to take it. Or I'm having to be a bit more specific here with certain things, but you won't care, because those material things don't really give you the contentment and the peace. They will come because you believe they will come, but it doesn't matter if someone tries to blackmail you with that emotion that you won't be able to do this and that. That was never your It should have never have been the reason for your happiness and your contentment in the first place. And this is where people are going to fail if they feel that that is the only way they're going to achieve happiness. If they get their holidays back, or if they get all these perks back in their life, their pub outings and etc etc, this is the only way they're going to feel happy becomes superficial. Their happiness and contentment is superficial. They were never within themselves in the first place. They were never spiritual in the first place. And this is the time now where people can use that connection to go back to their spiritual state and feel and find that actually you don't really need any of this. If this all comes, it's great, and it's able to come because you are the consciousness that will manifest it and can create it. But it's not something you need to be blackmailed about, because you're not going to give you're not going to give yourself, your spirit up and your body up because of these things. But people, if they can recognize who they are and remember where they've come from, they will have no fear. So just grounding our feet, relaxing the shoulders. We can cup our hands. It shows us that we're ready to receive information, connection to the higher consciousness. And we can close our eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Inhale, exhale, releasing all tensions, all resistance and unease. Again, inhale, exhale. Feeling the appreciation and the joy of being fully present here and now. And again, inhale, exhale. And now we connect to the heart, bringing the hand onto the heart. We can connect to our purpose, our divine, our personal purpose. Just feel the heart energy. The heart is fearless, connected to the all-knowing, all-powerful, unlimited, higher consciousness, God consciousness. We connect to that energy. We're always connected to that energy. Always connected through our heart. Feel the energy of the heart. Safe energy. Feeling guided and protected. Energy of gratitude and appreciation. Feeling grateful for everything in our life, knowledge, ease, awakening. And the energy that is strong manifest. We become more and more aware we are connected to everything there is, all that is, the nothingness, the space that is everything. We understand we are part of the ocean of love. And from our perspective, our perception, we are living our life. That knowledge helps us understand that we are co-creating our life. No one else, nobody else can tell us what our life is supposed to be, how we are supposed to live. We co-create our life. We, our destiny. Through the heart, let's connect to that energy. Feel yourself within the spirit, higher consciousness. Feel the spirit, the energy within the body, high, past your third eye, and into the crown. Feel the spirit energy leave the crown and rise even higher. Just above the crown, see a black hole. Spirit enter and into the higher consciousness, the ocean of love. Let that energy go higher and higher, raising the truth vibration, love vibration. Feel it passing through a fuzzy sensation, fuzzy light, through a gel-like substance, oily gel-like substance. Feel it rest there in the space that is in everything, higher consciousness, limited possibility, aspects of life, situations, people, everything exists. Universe, worlds. Sit in that energy that is really the higher vibration, truth and love. Disattached from any fear, any neediness, any helplessness, insecurity, doubts. We leave them all behind. I want truth, fearless, higher vibration, all that is, all that ever was. We are at present, we are now. We are connected to everything there is, every person, every situation. We all grow and evolve together. We are the ocean of love. Ocean. Feel that energy. It expands around us. Grow stronger in our beliefs. Know that that is our truth and that is our energy. And we know we are capable of manifesting anything we desire for the good of the universe, the good of the ocean of love, not just single aspect, but for the whole of the ocean. Our unique sovereign self has a part to play. A droplet has a part to play. Calm that ocean again. Rest in that energy. Feel that energy. Become one with that energy. Embrace it. Bring it into you. Feel it enter your solar plexus. Feel it enter your third eye. Let's bring ourselves slowly back down to the same memory, the same essence, the same energy. So appreciative and grateful for being part of the ocean, ocean, unique self. Slowly down back into the body, past and through that gel-like substance, through the white fuzzy feeling sensation and that light, through the space in the black hole, into the crown, house of third eye, settles back into the body on a higher vibration, truth vibration, no longer the same vibration for this meditation. The vibration has changed. The vibration has become more of knowing, less hoping, less wishing for a savior, but understanding that we are our own saviors, our own unique selves, and every action and step that we take affects the whole, the ocean. We get back our raw freedom expression, the knowing and energy of the heart, which is fearless. It fears nothing to no one because there is nothing to fear. It knows what it is. It's the higher vibration, it's the higher truth, it's the higher consciousness, it's all that ever was and is and ever will be. It's not just us, it's everything. That energy is us, is you. Remember who. That is our vibration. We are creating our life. We are creating our death. Now focusing back onto your breath. Inhale. Exhale. Slowly bring attention back to your eyelids. Keep your eyelids open. Just out. Lovely. Let me switch up our music and share. Get back.
That was wonderful. I like went to the cosmos and saw like some fuchsia pink light. It was beautiful.
Oh, amazing. It's amazing. Everybody sees different things when they're up there.
Yeah.
Some people see beings, some people, it was whatever, you're open to at the time. But this is the energy that we want to feel all the time. And it's a strong energy. It's a powerful energy. It's a fearless energy. It's a vibrational truth and roaring energy of freedom. And this is definitely where we all want to be walking from now.
For sure. And it's so part of who all of us are. So that's great.
Yeah, definitely. So we will leave everyone with that, and obviously you can rewind, watch this podcast whenever you want, and if you ever need to lift yourself up, if you feel your vibrations are dropping and you're entering more into the fear vibration, just do that meditation and take yourself back up there and start remembering who you are, connecting to your truth. And once you connect to the truth, vibration of truth and love, you will naturally attract the truth to you. So you will be able to see what the parallels, and you'll be able to see the narratives and for who and what they really are, and you will be able to judge from a much more informed and higher vibrational sense instead of just listening and believing everything you're being told. You'll be able to intuitively decide, with a more of a higher sense and a truth vibration. And that's
Perfect.
really important now.
It is, really is. All right, Miss Karen, I will see you next week.